In a village bound by ancient laws, not a single virgin could be found. What followed was not a curse, but a revolution that changed the meaning of purity forever. In the radiant plains of Umuokwe, where the grass grew tall and the earth glistened with ancient memory, the sun rose each day with golden pride. Birds chorused from the iroko trees, and the village bustled with laughter, market calls, and rhythmic songs of pounding yam. But beneath the laughter, a quiet tension brewed. For generations, Umuokwe had kept an old law. Every year a virgin must be offered to the great river goddess Umuokwe, to keep the rains coming and the crops thriving. It had never failed until this year. When the priestess of the river, Mama Nemeka, raised her staff and summoned the maidens, not a single girl stepped forward. Faces turned, whispers spread like fire, and jaws dropped in disbelief. "There is not one virgin left in this village." The chief thundered, his beads rattling with fury. "No, my lord," answered the head mother with eyes cast low but voice steady. "Not one." The council gathered under the old baobab tree, wringing their hands and seeking answers. How could it be? In a village of such size and tradition, how had every young girl already crossed into womanhood? Accusations flew like birds in a storm. "The girls have no shame. They mock our customs. This is a curse upon us." But the truth was neither a curse nor chaos. It was change. In the sunlit courtyards where the girls often gathered to braid hair and trade gossip, the Rayal story lived. Adiz, daughter of the blacksmith, stood tall with a colorful wrap tied proudly around her waist. She was the first to speak when the whispers turned to shouts. "We are not ashamed," she said, her voice like a drumbeat. "We chose ourselves over fear." One by one the girls shared their truth. They had been taught to be pure for a man or for the gods, but never for themselves. Yet now, in secret meetings in sacred sisterhood, they had learned to reclaim their bodies and rewrite the meaning of womanhood. They had loved, not recklessly but intentionally. They had said yes on their own terms, not by force, not by deception, but by power. And they had no apologies. The elders, stunned and angered, called it rebellion. But the girls called it liberation. They reminded the village that many of their own mothers were taken in silence, traded for yams or cloth, never given choice. This generation refused silence. They would not be defined by a tradition that demanded their innocence without honoring their voice. Still, the river ceremony had to be done, or so the people believed. With the rains delaying and the crops wilting, fear grew. Would Umuokwe turn her back on them? Mama Nemeka, who had served the goddess for over 40 years, walked alone to the river's edge beneath the blistering noon sun. Her white wrapper clung to her skin, soaked in sweat and wisdom. She carried no offering, only a mirror, polished from obsidian stone. "Kidu, Umuokwe," she whispered to the river, "your children have changed. What will you say?" The waters rippled gently. A wind passed through the reeds. And then came a sign. A great heron, white as chalk, landed on a rock before her. It opened its wings and let out a single cry. Mama Nemeka returned to the village with new eyes. "The goddess does not crave virginity," she declared, standing in the village square. "She craves truth. And the girls have brought it. The rains will come, not for a sacrifice of flesh but for the birth of truth." That year the rains came later than usual, but when they arrived, they were heavier and richer than anyone could remember. The soil soaked it in greedily, and crops sprung up with defiance. The village elders, though still uneasy, could not deny what they saw. No virgin had been offered, yet no curse had come. In fact, peace had arrived. The tradition of virgin offerings was officially laid to rest. In its place came a new rite. The festival of voice, where young girls stood before the village, not to be measured by purity but by purpose. They sang, they danced, they told stories of strength and pain, of dreams and healing. And for the first time the village listened. As the sun poured golden light across the dancing women in their woven bikinis and bright wrappers, Umuokwe felt reborn. The village that once feared change now stood witness to a generation that chose love, not obedience, choice, not chains. And somewhere, far down the winding river, Umuokwe smiled. For she, too, had once been a girl who chose her power. Would you choose silence or truth? Let your voice be heard in the comments below. Herb.